The First 90 Days by Michael D. Watkins is a masterclass in how to navigate the first few months in management. And we here at Fleetio thought we should update the classic for fleet managers. Luckily, we've got 2 former fleet managers in-house ready to go who know exactly what it's like to take on the challenges of a new role in fleet. Here are their tips for getting through the first 90 days as a fleet manager. Follow along with our 30, 60, 90-day checklist for new fleet managers. The link is in the description below. Your first 30 days, get familiar with your industry, your company, and your team.
My supervisor core at the time actually was really strong, so I definitely leaned on them a lot for their experience, as well as my team and the mechanics at the third party that I utilized to really help me understand. So it was a matter of admitting, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. I need all of your help. Let's figure this out together. It's kind of the approach that I took that seemed to work pretty well.
I also reached out to the operations people at my sites right away too. Like I said, it was operations and fleet, and we all had the common goal of picking up trash. And so I latched onto them early on, our route managers especially, to try to understand. I had industry knowledge from a fleet perspective. I had no industry knowledge from a waste management perspective. I didn't understand the different lines of business. I didn't understand a thing about trash other than I put it out my curb once a week and it gets picked up. So I used them to really help me learn that side of the business, and I think that helped early on establish that rapport that fleet is not this standalone entity that operations can't trust. I tried to establish that trust between the two right away, and it helped me learn my job quicker as well.
Your first 60 days, identify the biggest issues and come up with a plan to tackle them.
I reviewed our work orders daily that my mechanics did, or I tried to daily. I mean, sometimes I might get to it every other day, so I was catching up from a day, but I tried to look at it daily versus doing some sort of audit. And my thought process there was I always had kind of an eye on what was going on, what my mechanics were working on. I could spot any trends. If all of a sudden I saw 4 or 5 trucks with the same issue, I could dig into that further versus waiting for a quarterly audit, for example, to identify that after the fact. But then also, if I saw a mechanic who might be having issues with our specific fleet management information system and maybe not issuing parts correctly, I could address that right away after 3 days of seeing a repeat issue and get that behavior fixed, versus if I waited till an audit, I might have 3 months of bad data from a part standpoint that I have to fix. And now I have a 3-month habit that I have to correct with that mechanic versus a 3-day mechanic.
For me, as far as what I consider to be successful, one is safety. Safety was always first for me, right? Really just kind of keeping that focus on the safety and making sure that we were 100% compliant with our preventative maintenance intervals, because that goes a huge way of making sure that those vehicles are safe and double checking them. But the other part for me was also, we had our pre and post checks with the drivers, which anybody who's managed a fleet knows that's a bit of a cat and mouse game where they don't want to do it, so they'll pencil whip that, right? But trying to get them to understand the importance of that. It's sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You're not going to win that battle with everybody. But for me, it was almost raising the bar, because one thing they always would say to me is, Mike, I'm not a mechanic. I don't know what I'm looking for when I do this inspection. So for me, I was like, okay, that's a fair point. I'm not a mechanic either. So I actually called the vendor that works on my vehicles, and I had them come over on an afternoon, and I had them actually walk through that inspection that they were supposed to be doing and show them exactly what they should be looking for. It wasn't at a very granular level like they would do, but it was enough to say, hey, if that looks like this, that vehicle's not safe. So kind of taking their point and then challenging them to increase their knowledge on the matter so that their pre and post trips were valuable and we were catching potential safety issues before we went out on the road.
Your first 90 days. Find ways to advance your team and stay involved with them.
I think there's natural leaders in any group, and you don't have to be this master psychologist to figure out who those are. You just pay attention a little bit and you can see who the others listen to and respect. And then from there, you really just start to work with them and build them up into positions of leadership, either natural positions or actual positions. Bring them into decision-making processes more frequently to help them, give them sense of ownership of things, and if possible, even elevate them into actual positions of leadership. Give them a position like lead tech or senior tech, something that actually is symbolic and has value to it, both monetary and title. And it shows them that you recognize their position and their value in the organization, and it only furthers that trust that you have with them and helps them come along with you. Open door's great, but get out of your office, go walk into the shop, talk to the mechanics, ask them what they're working on. We talked about this earlier. Ask them to explain what they're working on, their thought process on it. Offer to help them on a job. Like, I said I was not mechanically sound, but I certainly can put some muscle into something. Get your hands dirty. Show them that you are as much a part of this team as they are. Talk to them personally. Ask them what they got planned for this weekend, what they did this last weekend. If they're going on vacation, ask them where they're going, things like that. Just get to know them. But that can't only be done if you're just sitting in your office and tell them, come find me if you need me. Because generally mechanics want to fix trucks, and if you're in your office, you're not anywhere near the truck. So you have to go to where they are.
Want more tips on how to be successful in your first 90 days? Listen to the whole conversation with John and Mike on The Fleet Code, a fleet management podcast. And once you're settled into your new role, change your fleet for the better by switching to Fleetio. Sign up for a free trial or schedule a demo today.